It features fully electric SUV racing in some of the most remote and challenging environments on the planet. And look at that, it starts here in Neom, Saudi Arabia. My name is Nikki Shields, and alongside me in commentary is Andrew Coley.
Thanks, Nikki. This is my third season in this fantastic championship, and if you missed the first two, you need to go back and take a look. It's been absolutely action-packed. But it's not just about the action, it's about what the series stands for. We've got 10 teams packed with superstar drivers, with one male and one female driver in each lineup. Off-track, Extreme E looks at environmental issues and how we might solve them. We're already using hydrogen energy in the paddock, and the race tyres, for instance, are made using recycled plastic bottles and rice husks. Incredible.
It really is indeed. It's also, of course, about leaving a legacy. From the Arctic to the rainforest, Extreme E always leaves behind a positive impact. Plenty to explore, so let's crack on with the Season 3 adventure.
Well, we're starting again in Saudi Arabia, Neom. Yesterday we had round one. Today is round two. Remember, it's double headers this year, so 2 events from each of our fantastic locations. That means that some of the drivers who had, let's say, an interesting day yesterday will have a chance for a bit of redemption today.
Yeah, and then we'll head to Scotland for our first Scottish X-Prix for round 3 and 4 mid-May. Looking forward to that one, the Hydro X-Prix.
Down to Sardinia, where we've been the 2 previous seasons. We had a double-header there actually last year. Wildfires was the theme. We'll be revisiting some of those environmental themes, of course, at each of the venues as we return. TBC for round 4. Me and Nikki have been discussing places we'd like to go, but with this series it really could be anywhere, and that's quite an exciting prospect to see what they come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then finally we will finish off Season 3, 2nd and 3rd of December in Chile for the Copper E-Prix. Absolutely stunning there in the Antofagasta region. But we had an action-packed day yesterday, full of some familiar faces, but also some new drivers.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? There's the Red Sea, which, as you'll see in a moment, a couple of people actually went into, which was not something we were expecting, Nikki, was it?
We weren't expecting them to have a dip in the water, that's for sure. No, but it was fantastic to see. Yeah, not something I've ever commentated on.
No, me either. And I've done quite a bit of off-road, so, but yeah. Awesome lineup this season, yeah. So there's been a few changes over the winter. Have a look at this and we'll bring you up to speed. Well, where better to start than last season's winners, X44 Vida Carbon Racing. Lewis Hamilton's Season 2 champions have a new driver lineup, with Jamaican Fraser McConnell replacing Sebastian Loeb to pair up with Cristina Gutierrez in defending the Extreme E crown.
Their biggest rivals are Season 1 victors, Rosberg X Racing, with Swedish pairing of Johan Kristoffersson and Michaela Arlin Kotelinski, eager to reclaim their title after losing out in the closing moments of the Season 2 finale.
She's rolled, and this is disaster!
From spinning decks in Ibiza to spinning tyres off the start line, new team owner and superstar DJ Carl Cox will be bringing a different kind of energy to the series. A veteran Extreme E lineup of Christine GZ and Timo Scheider will be taking up residency in the driver's seat.
Motorsport royalty Neom McLaren joined the grid last season, with Rallycross and X Games legend Tanner Faust joining McLaren's first ever female driver, Emma Gilmore. They learnt a lot in their rookie season, but can they start taking wins this year?
Rally and Dakar legend Carlos Sainz Sr. will sadly miss this round, injured. Taking his place in the car will be Matthias Ekström, who joined teammate Laia Sanz in the Acciona Sainz team, who finished a close 3rd in Season 2.
Motorsport upstarts Veloci Racing shook up their squad at the end of last season, bringing in Season 1 champ Molly Taylor and prizing Kevin Hansen away from close rivals JBXE. The instant effect in the final round of Season 2 looked very promising for Season 3.
Losing Kevin hasn't slowed down JBXE though, with former F1 world champion Jensen Button's outfit adding the experience of Heikki Kovalainen to young sensation Hedda Hosas, who will definitely be expecting to replicate more podium finishes throughout this season.
Number 99 GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing are back with an all-American driver lineup. RJ Anderson cements his place after stepping in last year, and drift star Amanda Sorensen slides in, looking to capitalise on the potential shown by the team in the previous 2 seasons.
Andretti Autoquilet are the only team to have kept their original driver pairing of Katie Munnings and Timmy Hansen together since the first ever event. With good reason too, as this dynamite duo are consistently fighting for the top spots.
Still riding high after winning the final X-Prix last season at Abt Cupra XE. 5-time Dakar winner Nasser Al-Attiyah combining with Clara Anderson, who grabbed her opportunity with both hands last season, scoring a debut podium finish in the Copper X-Prix and then following up with their maiden victory. So good to see a few familiar faces back and also some new runners and riders for Season 3. Also, this year brings a new racing format. Double the action. Every race weekend is a double header. So we have 50 points available, but of course, still 0 the impact. This is a stunning new location on the Neom coast, and we were treated to so much action yesterday. Let's remind ourselves who ended up upside down and who ended up on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, it was a wild ride for round one. This was Katie Munnings in the first qualifying round, trying to make a pass on Christine GZ for Carl Cox Motorsport all around new teams. Katie just catching that big mound on the inside, ended up upside down. Unfortunately, that wasn't the only time that the Andretti Autoquilet car would be upside down. This is Timmy Hansen in turn one, going over again. Just not the start that team wanted. We know how quick they are. They just can't seem to change their luck. So they've got another chance for it tomorrow. They weren't the only people to get it wrong at that corner. Nasser Al-Attiyah rolling over the top of Tanner Faust McLaren. Everyone having to take avoiding action. That led to a restart in that particular encounter as well. And then on to the grand final. Watch Johan Kristoffersen here. He took what we were calling the McConnell line. He's out wide. He's P5. Fraser McConnell's trying to take his own line on the inside. But unfortunately for him, Kristoffersen got the better of him. It was about whether Kristoffersen or Ekstrom could get to turn one first. Kevin Hansen even got at the inside of Ekstrom. Flash with a big bounce on the outside, but Kristoffersen got there first. A very wily move from P5 on the grid, where lots of the drivers were saying you can't win from out there. And yeah, he got it out there and he got it up into the whole shot on that very first lap. Kevin Hansen went with him. Ekstrom too. Fraz was in the mix as well, jumping up over that crest towards the finish line. That's what the visibility can look like. And unfortunately, RJ Anderson getting out wide in the number 99 Chip Ganassi Racing Hummer EV. He had a slight roll that retired him, and that meant we had a slow zone. Now that was going to be absolutely critical. Jumping into the car, Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski. Into the Veloce machine was Molly Taylor, Season 1 champion, versus, of course, Arlen-Kotlinski, who took over the drive from her the following year. Now the gap between them was pretty close. Taylor was coming up in hot behind. Looked like she might be able to have a stab at it using the Anoa hyperdrive, but Taylor braked too early for the slow zone, and Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski braked too late for the slow zone. So she was given a massive 136, I think it was, second penalty. And although RXR crossed the line first, that would drop them into P3. And it meant that this team, Veloce, Kevin Hansen and Molly Taylor, would pick up the team's first ever victory in Extreme E right at the podium. They had no idea when they crossed the line.
The sun is setting here in the paddock. It's Saturday night. We've had our very first final of the Desert X-Prix and the Redemption race, of course. I'm joined by our winners, Kevin Hansen, Molly Taylor of Veloce. And Kevin, I heard you say at the podium with me, you've broken the curse of the Desert X-Prix. It's the one you didn't have, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. And I mean, 12 months ago, I was lying on the floor with a broken back. So this Redemption coming back like this and winning the Saudi race, it means so much. So it was a great day, and I couldn't have done it without my amazing team and, of course, my amazing teammate.
You've been in your very own Redemption race. And Molly, of course, you're coming back in alongside Kevin once again, back into the championship. And this relationship, we saw it was working in Uruguay, and now it's getting results.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be back and to be back and take the win in the first race. So, yeah, as you said, everything's working really well. It's been so great to work alongside Kevin, and I think, you know, it's so important to be able to maximise that teamwork. So I think, yeah, that's something the whole team and working with Kevin, we've really been able to hit the ground running. And, yeah, we've got, you know, a big year ahead of us, but it's a great way to start.
It's a huge year, but you've got the best possible start under your belts. Well done, congratulations. You better head to the press conference. We've held you up. Sorry, off you go. Well, from absolute jubilation, elation of Veloce to, oh, Clara, look at your face, to, well, despair. and frustration. And just, Clara, look at the bodywork we've got behind you. It was not at Cupra's day today. You were in the water at one point, Nasser was in the water, and then a huge role for Nasser in the final. He is okay, I've just seen him in the paddock, but I mean, what's happening for tomorrow? Because there's going to be a lot of work done, or are you taking the championship car?
We're not confirmed yet, but the guys are doing everything they can. So we will go out racing tomorrow. Let's see with what car, but no, it's been a tough day. The pace we're super confident with. It feels super nice. The car is feeling great, but it's not been our day at all, unfortunately.
It hasn't been your day, but the good thing about a double header is you get a second chance tomorrow, albeit not much time to get that fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Tomorrow is a brand new day. You know, we have a new race, 2 qualies, and hopefully a grand final to show our true colours. So we're excited.
We'll see. Best of luck. Sorry for today. Let's head on up. We're going to see if we can grab a reaction from Chip Ganassi as well, because there was a role for RJ Anderson in the final, of course, alongside Amanda Sorensen, and it was their debut as a pairing. Brilliant result in the qualifying to get in. But then RJ, just talk me through what happened in that final.
A roller coaster of a day, huh? It started off so good, and then I'm bummed for Amanda and my team, you know. We had a strategy on the start, got a great gate pick, and the strategy just didn't work out, you know. That's how racing goes sometimes. So pulled up the hill and knew my work was cut out for me. So obviously 4 really fast guys in front of me. I couldn't let them out of my sight. So was kind of a train around the course, and then in the dust, I just fully got off course, went to come on course, was gonna miss the flags, veered to go up the side of the jump, and it was so soft. I went over one time and it broke a sensor, so the car's fine, I was fine, but that was the end of our day, unfortunately.
Yeah, frustrating, isn't it? Well, we're sorry. Better luck again tomorrow. Well, let's hear now from our series founder, Alejandro Agag. Extreme E was founded on the principle of establishing a motorsport that would redefine the limits of what sports can do. Founder and CEO Alejandro Agag told us about what we can expect from this thrilling off-road racing series as it embarks on its 3rd season.
We're starting in the new season of Extreme E, season 3. I think it's going to be a great season. I think the level of competition is going to be great this season. We have some new drivers, some new pairings. We have amazing locations. We have an amazing start of the season here in Neom. To find this new spot is really great. We were looking for something, and I was discussing here with our Saudi friends how to make visible the beauty of Neom and the beauty of the sea of Neom, and to be able to race centimeters from the water, sometimes in the water, really allows to show the beauty of this place to the world.
Season 3 also marks the debut of a new racing format, which sees a double-header event at each race location.
Here in Extreme E, one of the limitations was that the few races that we have. The fans want more. Of course, it's complicated to go around the world and to look for new locations and to organize races. So we were thinking how to give more racing to the fans, and we came up with this idea. Let's do 1 race on Saturday, 1 race on Sunday. We're here anyway. We don't need to transport anything to a new location. We do 2 races on the same. We have the same use of energy, and we have the same logistics. So it's basically something that we're already doing without increasing our CO2 footprint. And I think for the drivers also is great. A lot of excitement and more racing for the fans.
The opening race of the season is also the first Extreme E race to feature an innovative technology that is powering the entire event.
I think hydrogen is a technology that is going to be for sure part of the mix in the future of decarbonization of transport. And that's why we think it's important to give hydrogen a platform, like Extreme E, or in its case in the future Extreme H. A place where hydrogen technology and companies involved with hydrogen can test new technologies, new solutions through sport. Extreme is a platform for innovation, and including hydrogen takes us to a new frontier. Battery racing is already 9 years into Formula E, 3 years now, 3rd year in Extreme, but hydrogen haven't had a championship, not a platform yet. That's why we're really innovating, we're really pushing the envelope, including hydrogen in the championship.
This season, Extreme E will be travelling back to the island of Sardinia and Chile's Atacama Desert. However, it will also add new locations to its roster, including Scotland, which will host our next round, the Hydro X Prix.
I think we can expect an amazing race in Scotland. I think also the story behind the location is very interesting. We are going to race in an old mine that now is being used to store water in a way to store energy from renewable sources. And I think that in itself is a really powerful message to send out. And apart from that, it's going to be an incredible landscape, the visual show is going to be incredible for the race. So I think we're up for an amazing season of racing in Extreme E.
Always good to hear from Alejandro Agag, though. So this really is a championship that puts climate right at its heart, as well as wheel-to-wheel action. Extreme E aims to leave a lasting mark on the different locations in which it races. And that, of course, is where the Legacy programme comes in. It sees the championship work with local NGOs and communities to help find solutions to the different climate issues that each region is facing.
We brought our drivers here last year as part of our first ever trip to Neom. I think we were the first project where we actually rewilded a lizard species and planted the first of their huge regreening program. The level of the project that Neom is investing in here is almost unprecedented. It's one of the largest conservation efforts going on in the world right now. But today was part of their biggest release yet.
Just before I set some framework to what we're doing today, I would like to also emphasize that we are releasing 3 wild species, not just 2. So there's the sun gazelle, the ostrich, and Christine GC, that they're going to be released back to the wild.
Neom is putting on a big project here to rewild a lot of different species. And we've been rewilding sun gazelles and redneck ostriches behind us. But yeah, it's pretty special to see.
This is the biggest rewilding project in the world right now. It's the south of Belgium, this area, and 95% of this area is set aside to nature reservation projects. So this is all going to be green in many years.
So the regreening project actually started with the Extreme E Legacy event last year when you guys came here, and we started with 20 plants that was planted by 10 of your drivers. And that was the start for our regreening project. And this year we are going to be planting, by the end of this year, 4.5 million plants. For me personally, it's about if you can make a piece of the planet more greener and more wilder, then we are leaving a legacy for our future.
So we were planting some trees here.
Yeah.
Could you tell me how big is this area and what does it do for Neom?
Yeah, so this area where we are now, the plot is 75,000 square meters, 7.5 hectares. But that's a small part of the Neom planting, which will be 100 million trees.
That's
so that's
amazing.
the job, and would you just contributed your own share to that?
That's amazing. Really happy about that.
It's just amazing seeing what's happening with the work that's being done to bring all these animals back into their native habitat. Now we're down here doing some tree planting, part of the regreening. I think what's really special about Extreme E is the legacy projects, because we go to these amazing parts of the world, but we're not just sort of in and out doing our race program. We get to learn about what's happening firsthand with the environment in that area, and you're getting firsthand knowledge shared with you as well. So yeah, I feel very, very lucky to be part of it.
Well, this is the track which round 1 took place on yesterday and which round 2 will take place on today. So we're flying over the top of our virtual map. You've got that 90 right off the start, but it's the kink left at turn 2 where the big passes happen. Fraser McConnell in Q1. We saw Kevin Hansen looking up the inside, and then Johan Kristoffersen pulling off the outside move. The Continental Traction Challenge starts down at gate 3. 2 championship points up for grabs, but remember it's also the tie break in the event of any ties for qualifying points. They get points for each qualifying round, and that can then make a difference as to whether you're top qualifier or maybe whether you make it to the grand final or the redemption race. That finishes up at gate 12 on top of a crest. A couple of long right-handers, a load of bump dips through the run-in. There's that jump where we saw RJ Anderson come out the dust and roll. Yesterday we saw the penalties for RXR. First driver splits right over the finish line, goes for another lap. When they come back round, they go in the switch zone where the second driver takes over. They will go around twice, and when they cross the finish line, that's the end of their run. 2 qualifying sessions today to decide who makes it through to the various different finals. Hopefully nobody goes into the sea.
Well, you've said it now, haven't you? You commentators cursed it.
Yeah.
But what I love about the track, though, it's really come to life. We can already see how many areas there are where there's pitfalls. The guys are going to really have to look out for the way the ruts have changed over the course of the evening and today, coming into today's race. They're going to have to take a different line. And as we talked about the McConnell line yesterday, will they be using that at the start of today's quali?
If you're new to Extreme E, this is how it's going to work.
Extreme E is a fully electric off-road racing championship consisting of 10 world-class teams made up of 1 male and 1 female driver. In each session, both drivers will compete behind the wheel of the Odyssey 21 electric SUV, with a driver changeover known as the switch halfway through. Each driver gets an Anoa Hyperdrive boost in every session, and there are bonus points for the fastest team through the Continental Traction Challenge section of the course. First up, it's qualifying, where everybody races twice in a bid to finish as high as possible in the qualifying standings. Then it's time to earn some championship points. From qualifying, the bottom 5 teams go into the redemption race, while the top 5 proceed to the grand final and compete to win the X Prix and lift the trophy. It's a season-long battle, 10 rounds, 1 champion.
Day 2 in Neom then for round 2. There's that incredible Neom hydrogen power generator on the left. Just an amazing bit of kit that only produces water as any kind of a byproduct. The teams are down the right-hand side in those sort of sandy coloured domes. They were kind of white at one point, but we do go to a lot of dusty places. All the kit out the back. Looking forward to round 2 getting underway.
Day 2 here at the Desert X Prix. We get to do it all over again, and it's time for qualifying 1. Now, Andretti Altequilat, what a day for you guys yesterday. Timmy, thanks for coming to talk to us. Firstly, how are you both doing after both rolling the car, and how are you feeling ahead of a new day?
Yeah, we both rolled the car yesterday, so it's kind of a terrible day for the team, but that's how it goes. The guys were doing an amazing job. You see the car back here now, back together. It's in perfect shape. The wheels are where they should, and the suspension's what it should be. The bodywork's seen some damage, but we're going to be fast out there. This is a new day, so that's the positive with this new race format, I guess, that we get to try it all over again and try and forget about yesterday. I think we got pace in the car, and we can do it today. We start from that inside, which is good. So yeah, might see a good start to the day, hopefully, and then we can get into that final and fight it out.
Besides that starting grid position, which is important here at the Desert X Prix, will you alter anything about your driving style given what you saw yesterday?
We have made some tweaks to the setup and so like usual. But yeah, it's hard to predict where the track is going to end up. It's getting more and more rough the whole time, and it's important that you can take those bumps, but you also don't want to be really too high and too soft for everything. So you want to kind of balance that out. It's not easy to predict, and at the end of the day, it's a lot down to that first corner. And yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I'm from rallycross, and we do a lot of first corners, pretty tight. But these cars are different to drive. They're much heavier, and they're much bigger, so it's harder to kind of position yourself as precisely as you would do in a rallycross race. This is Extreme E, it's a different sport altogether, and you got to rethink, relearn, and see. Hopefully, today we have made the right plans. People are hyperdriving in different spots around the start, and even saving it to the beach. So I don't know really what we will do yet, but we need to come up with a plan, that we think is our best chance of getting the whole shot.
Well, best of luck. We'll all be rooting for you after a difficult day yesterday. Thank you very much, Timmy. And Fraser from X44 strolling through the paddock. Oh, a DNF in the final yesterday. Such a shame after so much promise earlier on. What happened?
We just went over the jump, and then, going into corner 2, we got the red light, blue light. It lit up like a Christmas tree. So, some of those stuff out of our control, but, the team is still head up, spirit high, and going to go get some redemption today.
Absolutely. What is the plan for you guys today? You say redemption. What does that look like?
No, same plan. We started the day how we wanted yesterday, winning Q1, brought the car home safe in Q2 to make sure we had a spot in the final. And, the plan is no different today. Me and Christina are feeling good, so time to get the race day started.
Time to get the race day started. I like your style. Thank you very much indeed, Fraser. There's a race out there. There's a race in here as well. Competition between our teams. X44 are actually 2 times winners of it, and that is the Count Us In initiative, where the teams challenge their fans to make environmental pledges and create environmental good habits. X44 doing very well at that. They're doing well out there as well, but there is much to do today. Qualifying 1, race 1, fast approaching.
There is the start grid awaiting the cars. They're still at the moment in the paddock. They'll be rolling down there soon. We're going to have a little look around the track and see what the conditions look like. That's the run up through the first, well, that is the first gate. So the green and the red you can see on the left, gate 1. That's the 90 right, which actually isn't as far away from the start line as you think it is. Now, everyone was saying, oh, you can't start from slot number 5. This is the exit from gate 2. So gate 2 up there is the kink left where we saw Fraser McConnell, and then later in the day, Johan Kristoffersson appear around the outside for what we call the whole shot. Now, the whole shot's a motocross term originally, but it means getting to the first corner first. Yeah, it's kind of not the first corner, it's the second corner, but it's who leads after the melee of the start. Then we've got those long right-handers and heading out towards the beach, Nikki, and that was where things got very interesting indeed. A little bit of regrading done, look, on the run into turn 6, so they've been dragging things across the surface, which smooths it out. That's absolutely fine. It just makes brings the racing surface back to what roughly what it was like on day 1.
So what are the drivers going to be looking at as they come into the first qualifying session of the day? How many changes to the tracks will there have been made other than the resurfacing?
Well, they'll have watered some sections that were dusty overnight. They'll just put water down basically to keep the visibility up. The interesting thing is some of the teams have made changes to the cars late in the day, which were probably made to cope with the bumps. And then we've got areas of the track, for instance, where they've been regraded or where the tides come in and out, which has smoothed it back out. But they'll be across that, and they'll have had a wander around the track this morning and just had a look to see how the conditions are.
Now, it's interesting, obviously, when Laura was talking to Clara Anderson earlier about the Ab Cooper car, and we saw that big heap of pieces that had come off the car. And I think, they were obviously speaking last night at the point they didn't know which car they were going to use, but it has been confirmed that Ab Cooper will be using the championship car today.
Yes.
Now, how much of a disadvantage? I mean, it's obviously fantastic that they've managed to get hold of a car in full pieces, but it might be a bit tricky when you've got a brand new car to get to grips with. But let's go down to the team with Ab Cooper and Laura.
Now, one of the teams who had an enormous job to do yesterday was Ab Cooper after the roll for NASA. Thankfully, you're doing okay. I've heard your mechanics have had about 1 hour's sleep. Talk to me about this rebuild.
Yeah, it was a long day, for all the mechanics and the teams, and finish around 4 o'clock in the morning, and there is no sleep, at all for the mechanic. But thank for the mechanic, to get everything happen, for today, because today is it's important, for us after yesterday what happened, we forget what happened yesterday, and today is a new day, and we try to do our best.
It is a new day. The beauty of a double header, right? Thank you very much. Good luck to you, NASA, head to command, and good luck to Clara in the car there. Worth noting, they have taken the championship car, adapted their parts to that, so they will serve a 30-second time penalty in the switch zone in this first race.
So yeah, that was Laura earlier, because you can see Clara Anderson is on the line already. So that 30-second penalty is going to hurt them. They need a good start. They need to get out there, and they're going to have to risk it everywhere to try and build up enough for the start not to end up P5. I think you'd take a P3 if you could build up enough of a gap, but 30 seconds, yesterday we rarely saw 30 between P1 and P5, so it's a big ask. Interestingly, yesterday all the teams nominated their male drivers first, which means they end up in the start of the final first. Now, the reason for that is most of the male drivers come from a rallycross background, and it just means that they're very aggressive starters. I love the fact that Ab Cooper have gone, you know what? Clara Anderson is our ex-rallycross driver. She's going to be really aggressive off the line, and they put her in today. So they're the only team that have nominated her for the start. Here we go then. Q1 coming up.
Qualifying round 1, heat 1, is about to begin. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Tension building there in the command centre. All eyes are on the screens ahead, looking towards those drivers who are now lining up on the grid ahead of our first heat of qualifying today in round 2 of season 3 of the Extreme E Championship. A bit of pressure for the Ab Cooper team. Even with that 30-second penalty, will they be able to deliver some results today? Difficult. They're not only on the back foot, they're in the championship car. Clara Anderson is in the driving seat for Abs Cooper, there on the left-hand side. Alongside, we've got the Andretti Altequila team with Timmy Hansen. After yesterday's DNF, he'll be looking to make amends. The X44 Vida Carbon, driven by Fraser McConnell. It was great to see his new line to the start. Be interesting to see which route he takes. Veloce there alongside with Kevin Hansen at the wheel. Yesterday's race winner. No doubt feeling strong, confident and ambitious ahead of round 2. And Carl Cox, a new entrance into the season. DNF yesterday, so Timo Schneider, plenty of Extreme E experience, will be looking to improve on that performance.
Here we go then, start time Q1. Ready to go again. Look at Kevin Hansen, his face, he's always so animated at the starts. Timmy, if you get in the car early with him, you see him beating himself up, literally thrashing on his own thighs, getting the adrenaline running, but it will be very high now as we get a green light on round 2 of Extreme E. A lot of wheel spin, but a great start for Timmy Hansen. Terrible start for Clara Anderson. That's a problem for Abt Cooper already with the championship car. It is the Andretti Altequila that was leading on the inside, but his brother Kevin Hansen has done the same move he did yesterday. Can he make it stick this time for the Veloce? Can't, has to slot him behind. Fraser McConnell tried the outside line again. He made that work yesterday in Q1, but this time the X44 machine is in P3. So at the minute it's Timmy Hansen for Andretti Altequila, leading from Kevin Hansen for Veloce, P3, X44, and that is a disaster. Abt Cooper, they stayed up until 4 in the morning, and the second car, Anderson dropped the hammer off the line. The car just didn't go anywhere. I'm so gutted for the team, so much work, but we've got a race to run.
Oh, so disappointing for them, and the issue is if you start with problems at the beginning of the day, that's only going to have a knock-on effect. But fantastic news for Andretti, really making amends for yesterday. Both drivers turned upside down, so Hansen and Munnings there, this could be their opportunity.
You know what, Nikki, the track conditions are really different, because yesterday we started after 2 free practice runs, if you remember, on Friday. The day before that had been some shakedown elsewhere, but the ruts were really bad, and particularly coming through that turn 7, waypoint 7 onto the straight, it's much smoother than yesterday, so the exit speed will be higher, and yeah, I think things will be interesting. They're taking it fairly steady over that crest. McConnell trying to find a way through. In the background, Scheider for Carl Cox Motorsport. They could do with a better day than yesterday as well. Scheider will hand over, of course, to Christine GZ. Timo Scheider's all over the back of Fraser McConnell, so that's the battle for P3 and 4. They score qualifying points for these results, so a win will give you 10. Unfortunately, a DNF will give you 0. So Abt Cooper might well try and get that car round slowly just to pick up 2 points instead of 0. Oh, Scheider got a run. He's got a run on Fraser McConnell in the background. Looked like it was just, can't find a way through at the minute. Fraz keeping the door closed. Saw that brilliant battle yesterday where RJ Anderson kept the door shut the whole time. The drivers are saying it is pretty hard to pass, and that is where you bring in the Noah hyperdrive.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw most of them use it down the stretch of beach with the Red Sea on the left-hand side.
Over the finish line for the first lap. Oh, McConnell sideways, big bounce. Timo Scheider not quite close enough to take advantage. I thought surely there he might go round, but Fraz holds on to it. Look at the gap that Timmy Hansen's got. Is this the change in luck, Nicky? Finally, like last year, they were on a roller coaster, Andretti. This year, new team sponsoring Altequila. We know they're quick, both drivers. Katie Mose, they were up there, weren't they, in the free practice times? I'm pretty sure they were P2 in both the free practice runs on Friday. So they were there, and then yesterday, both drivers rolling the car. I mean, in round 1 of 10, no thank you is what you're thinking if you're the team boss. Hansen is laying it down here big time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the qualifying results come in. I mean, yesterday we had Acciona Sainz, X44 and Veloce all joint on 18 points after the end of the 2 heats.
Yeah.
And it was actually the Continental Traction Challenge that set Acciona Sainz away from the rest. It's also going to be interesting looking at the lap times as well to see if they're going to get faster today over the course of the sessions.
Yeah, we'll be able to compare, of course, particularly that middle sector, the Continental Traction Challenge one. In fact, I can do that now. Sector 2 is a 107.4. Let me have a look and see what it was yesterday. Extra bit of 105.6. So there's another couple of seconds, but Extra might have used his Inoa hyperdrive in there, where these guys might have used that off the start line.
So So Timmy Hansen now building a 2-second gap. Not as much as we've seen in the past, but that's still a nice cushion to have before he will head in after completing 2 laps. They'll be into the switch zone.
Well, yeah, it's roughly 2, isn't it, between P2 and P3 as well, and then only a second or so between McConnell and Scheider. So 6 seconds across the top 4 cars. Interestingly, the App Cooper is still circulating, Nikki. Like I said, they will know that if they get a 0, the chances of making it through to the grand final are highly unlikely. Let's say you took a 2 and then you were able to fix the car up and win your second session. You could be on 12 points. Yesterday, that might just drag you into the grand final in P5. So Anderson and Alatia are going to try and drag that car round to the finish. There might be a reset they can do in the switch zone, but I think it's unlikely because I think by now Clara would have stopped, done the reset and then gone again. Molly Taylor going to jump in for Kevin Hansen. Katie Munning's going to jump in for Timmy Hansen. The gap is 1.8. Taylor will be all over the back of Munnings trying to find a way through, but Katie's quick enough and wily enough to hold her off. And we can't count out, of course, X44 Cristina Gutierrez or Timo Scheider's teammate Christine GZ. Into the switch zone then.
Let's take a look at a replay. X44 there, taking the jump. Ooh, not the greatest of landing.
No.
Now, interesting, we were talking just then, and again, let's get it from the inside view, on board in the cockpit.
Spectacular.
That's one way to shake your breakfast up.
Oh, look, it's when you see the impact on the head is when you realise. Frowes will be super calm.
The visor's nearly falling down.
Yeah, he'll be fine with it, but it is, it's a big impact.
But talking about big impacts, yesterday, obviously, we saw Katie Munnings roll the car. How much is that going to affect her coming into today's round? Because psychologically, you don't want to do that again. Let's hear from Timmy Hansen.
Well, off goes Katie. Molly Taylor is right up behind her. Timmy, that's a much better start, isn't it? Talk me through it.
Yeah, now we're in a good position compared to yesterday. It was kind of disaster, but we didn't let that bring us down. We tried to work hard and have a plan, and car's quick. I had a good lap. I pulled out a 2-second lead, which I think was good because Kevin was so fast yesterday. So I think that was, that felt really good. I had some kind of issue coming into the pit lane though with my dash, so I couldn't hit my speed coming into the pit lane. So I think I lost some time there back again, but yeah, Katie don't have that 2-second margin I think out there now, but yeah, hope we can stay in front. Anyway, it doesn't really matter if we win or second, as long as we stay up there and we have a good chance to get to the final.
And keep the car in one piece. Thanks very much, Timmy. Yeah. Cheers, good luck.
Interesting. So Timmy's saying, look, doesn't matter if we're P1 or P2. They know they can't be where they were yesterday. And Molly Taylor says, hello, Katie, I'm here, and I will have a crack at you if I possibly can. So Katie getting the hurry up from Taylor. But Katie, you were asking about the confidence knock, Nikki. Yes, of course it knocks your confidence a bit. What you want is, they say, don't they, if you fall off the horse, you've got to get straight back on. Oh, no. Christine GZ stopped. Is this a DNF for Carl Cox Motorsport again? They're still in the switch zone, as are App Cupra. Looks like App Cupra are moving again. So App Cupra are coming out. They may end up with a P4 for their efforts instead of a P5. Taylor now, I think we're on board with Molly Taylor, who's lost a little bit of time to the Andretti Alfa Keelet, but it looks like Katie has used her Inoa Hyperdrive on lap 1. Whereas you can see Taylor still has it. The Lexus down the left-hand side there tell you who still has that Inoa Hyperdrive. But Timmy was saying, look, just get it to the finish. P1 or P2 doesn't matter. And remember, that's what everyone was saying yesterday. Consistency in qualifying is important. Right, so is the App Cooper flat out again? Timo Scheider, disappointment. Carl Cox Motorsport machine still showing us in the switch zone on your graphics there, bottom left of your screen, so it looks like it's a retirement for them. I'm trying to figure out whether or not the App Cooper is back up to speed or not. The gap at the minute's a minute 23, so we'll keep an eye on how much that goes down.
Such a shame for the Carl Cox Motorsport team there. They were so eager to impress in their first weekend.
Rough start, isn't it?
It's really difficult, isn't it, when you know
Taylor,
how hard the
having a look.
Works.
Sorry, Nikki, go on.
Go for it.
Alex Hughes was behind the drive. Might be fixed. So Molly Taylor can't quite find her way through, can she?
So the Ab Cooper car's fixed, but then you're so far behind. So what are you using this session for? Practice?
Yeah, definitely dial it in a little bit, especially after yesterday's issues. And they're a minute. Oh, there goes the front clamshell on the Veloce. Live pictures of that flying off. Christina Gutierrez is only 1.4 seconds behind Molly Taylor. Now that might help Katie Munnings, because at the minute Munnings was just driving on the mirrors looking for where Taylor is. If Taylor's going to make a pass, Nikki, we know where she's going to have a crack at it, don't we? Down that front straight.
Just feels like just a bit of a pointless exercise putting bodywork on these cars.
There is. That's a great argument. You just think
start
if you're
the race without it. Save a few pennies.
We could save tons of budget. Right, watch the left-hand side of your screen now. Listen for the little noise as well, which will tell you whether or not either of the drivers in P2 and P3 activate their Noah Hyperdrive. It will be after the exit the corner. Wait for the wheel spin to go. Around about now if you're going to use it. On it comes. Noah Hyperdrive comes on for Taylor.
He's good.
Pulls out the slipstream and just blasts past. It's a big boost in power, only for 4 seconds. I thought Gutierrez would do the same thing, so maybe Gutierrez, they're on the final lap, so Gutierrez is waiting for the Christopherson moment, which is the run up to the finish line, if you remember. So she maybe thinks she can make a pass later on in the lap.
Do you have to use it? If you get to the end of the lap and you haven't used it, are you going to get penalised for that?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't know.
We will find out and let you know.
Okay, so we're here in the Ab Cupra with the 30-second penalty. We're going to use this as a shakedown. It's very strange for Clara to have such a slow run, but maybe they were running some system checks on the first lap. Plus the 30. I mean, what they have got lucky with is the fact that Carl Cox Motorsport have had an issue. So, right, Molly Taylor leads then. Yesterday's winners, Veloce. They won yesterday, of course, because of the penalty for RXR. They would absolutely love to win today out on track. X44 Vita Carbon Racing using that Noah Hyperdrive. Where are they? Trying to come past Katie Munnings. Christina Gutierrez does get in front of the Andretti Alta Keylett machine. So it's going to be a P3 for Andretti. They'll need another decent result in Q2. This is better than yesterday. Katie Munnings hasn't given up yet. She's trying to find a way back past. Can't do it though. Veloce take the win. P2 goes to X44 and Katie was so close to coming back.
So close, so close. But again, hopefully this is, enough of a performance that it builds up the confidence from what she lost from yesterday.
I think
she'll be frustrated.
They would have loved the P2. I think probably the Noah Hyperdrive on lap 1, if you'd have saved that for lap... The trouble is she can't know when they're going to do it. So if she hadn't used hers on lap 1, probably Taylor would have passed her on lap 1 using the Noah Hyperdrive. It's tactical. You'd be relying on the team in the command centre to go, right, she's not wait, and then, okay, Taylor's using you need to use yours. But by the time that radio message has come through, she might have been through. So yeah, look at this. Look, they've not managed even to get the livery on the side of the car, Nikki, because they stayed up until 4 in the morning. Good to see the cars back on pace. They're getting a P4 here, but it's going to have to be maximum attack in the next session to try and get a win. So to get a win and a 4th might be enough to see them through to the grand final. But I think they are a must-win team in Q2.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess they've had to use this session as a bit of a shakedown of that new championship car. Because obviously that will be the first time that they've had the opportunity to drive it.
Interesting, because the championship car does things like media rides, it does things like the course recce. Andreas Backrud and Tamara Molinaro would have taken those duties, so they know it works, but obviously you've got to adapt it for your drivers, the seats, the seating positions, the settings the teams were using. Right, we're going to head down to the command centre and we're going to have a chat with Kevin Hansen, who is in there now. Kevin, good morning, Kevin Hansen. How are you doing?
Oh, quite good. Molly did a great run there, and it's this team is really incredible. I mean, they've been having such a tough luck for 2 years, and this is their true potential. So I'm so happy that we're able to bring the performance on track, and nice to get a quali win. That's always a good way to start the second day.
So are you and Molly the lucky charms? Are you going to turn it around? Of course, you got the win yesterday, Kevin, but I know you want to stick it to them on the track in the final, won't you? It's always nice to get a win, but checker flag's fun too. Going for another one today?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's off to a good start, and I mean, a win is a win no matter how you get it. This is motorsport, and you know of anyone, Cody, that I've gotten wins in different ways. So this is a nice way to start the season, and a really good way to start day 2. So Molly did a really clever race there, and I'm just so proud of everyone in this team. They really deserve it.
Kevin, what's the secret to winning here in Neom, Saudi?
Great question. I don't know. We just try to do our thing, you know. So far, it's worked out. We try to, you know, put a scenario that we believe in and operations that we believe in that works, and it seems to pay off on the pace and on the feeling of the car and on the driving. So we just do our thing. There's of course a secret recipe, but we just try to do that and see how far it takes us. I mean, this is for sure very tough door-to-door racing out there, so you have to get your elbows out just like in rallycross.
So Kevin, unfortunately, it's just popped up on the screen that you guys are under investigation for speeding. They've given you a 4.3 second penalty. It's literally just come up now, car 5, which drops you to 3rd. I'm really sorry, mate. That's not the news we wanted to bring you, but I guess that's the way it goes sometimes. Do you think you might appeal that, or is it something you thought might happen? Oh,
yeah,
hang on.
When I was riding in the pit lane.
There's a penalty as well for
Andretti.
There's a penalty as well for Andretti, mate. So they've been given a 2.5 second penalty.
Yeah.
What have you've got a better timing screen than me. What can you see?
Oh, I don't know. I can see there's penalties going on. I mean, all of these points in the switch on are by GPS, and I think you can be lucky and unlucky sometimes. So I think they need to look into that. Because I saw Molly when she exited the pitch, she was well late to exit the limiter, and I was on the safe side going in. So we're on the pit limiter set by Spark and the championship all the way through. So I don't really know what's going on there, but. Not my job to check into. The team will have a look and see what's happened, but then currently a P2 then is that.
Yeah, we've just seen that as well, mate. So with the penalties for Andretti as well, yeah, you guys are second. That's not too bad. Look, good luck in Q2. Thanks for taking the time out, and we look forward to seeing you guys send it later on today.
Thanks, guys, and great work in the commentary.
Ah, thank you, Kevin. Well, top man.
Waited.
Here's Molly. Let's listen in.
Was really safe on the exit. Oh, I thought I was anyway.
Right, so Molly's saying I was really safe on the exit, so she'll be making the point that she's not released the button until right at the exit waypoint. Kevin saying, so what they're saying is it's done by GPS, so that's a bit like when you're in your car or whatever and your GPS is telling you you're doing 70 miles an hour. That's taking a feed off a satellite compared to the Speedo, which is taking a feed off your wheels. Now, with the team, they'll look at the data, and if they can possibly argue it, they will. But anyway, here's your result.
That's really frustrating for them, isn't it? So Carl Cox, it was a DNF for them, unfortunately. Abd Cupra, guys, using that session as a bit of a shakedown. The Andretti Altequila guys, Hansen and Munnings making amends for yesterday with a P3. Obviously, we just heard from Hansen and Taylor. They're dropped to P2 with that time second penalty. And then we have McConnell and Gutierrez taking P1 in the first qualifying heat of today. So it's a great start for the X44 Vida Carbon team, who are looking for, to get back up on the top step of the podium today.
Okay, so another look at the start for you. So you can, Andretti Altequila look brilliant start. So the Abd Cupra, we thought an issue. They're saying shakedown. It's very slow, isn't it? But anyway, it is what it is. Kevin Hansen runs really wide in the Veloce. This is the move Kevin tried yesterday, Nicky. Do you remember in the final? And he went right the way around the outside, but Kristoffersen had pulled off the inside move and managed to hold on to it. So he slotted in behind his brother, Timmy. Can't really take your brother out, can you? I mean, you can. Actually, to be fair, I've seen those two smash into each other quite a bit.
I was going to say, I wonder, when you know your brother's ahead of you, how does that make you feel even more competitive, I'm sure?
Oh, that's such a big bounce. Yeah, look, those two race fiercely. What's great is in the World Rallycross Championship, they've been teammates for a long, long time. So when you're teammates, you really can't race each other. Here, they are contracted by different teams. They're not racing for Hansen Motorsport here. They're racing one for Veloce and one for Andretti Altequila. So they will get stuck into each other. To be fair to Timmy, You gapped Kevin just that little bit, but as Kevin said, Molly with a really clever race and use of that Inoa hyperdrive, which we're going to see in a minute. We can see how those tactics panned out.
It seems though the Hansen family, they have such a close-knit bond, don't they?
Yeah.
Even whatever happens on the track, I'm sure as soon as they get off it, they're best buddies
absolutely.
again.
They're super close, and Mum and Dad, Kenneth and Susan, I'm sure will be watching up in Sweden, and Kenneth 14 times champion, so look at that. That was Molly going, I'm coming for you. Katie, being a bit cautious in that left-hander. Katie's quick, we could see that. She nearly got past Gutierrez, but she used her Inoa hyperdrive on this first of her 2 laps, and that unfortunately left her as a little bit of a sitting duck on the second ones. But I don't know how when you're leading you can respond quickly enough to know if they haven't used it not to use yours, because you want it as a defence.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to get left behind having not used it. It's a difficult strategic move when to play it, and I love that bit of the Veloce body kit just flying off there.
Yeah, I think if you were a team boss, Nicky, you'd be saving what, I don't know, 50, 60 grand a year with just sending the car out naked, just a roll cage, no body panels. I think you're right, why not?
We'll pitch it to a gag, see what he says.
Yeah. He'd be pretty stoked on it if you come in with it. Look at this. So this is on board with Molly Taylor using the hyperdrive, 400 kilowatts for 4 seconds. So it's basically the max output of the car, which is about 550 horsepower, and you just blow straight past. There's nothing Katie could do there unless she still had hers, and as we said, she'd used it on the previous lap. What was clever, I thought, from Gutierrez is she knew she was a further couple of car lengths back in the X44, so if she'd used it, she might not have made it through, and then she actually waited and managed to pass Katie here. That's where we saw Christopherson use it yesterday. So a win on track for Veloce, then the speeding penalties for Veloce and Andretti, which actually meant that X44 Vida Carbon were promoted from second to the win. So Clara Anderson on board the Abt Cupra. We know she was going super slowly off the start line. The team kind of sent us a message to say that it was a bit of a shakedown issue, but we're going to go and have a chat with Clara so we can find out exactly what was going on, whether it was a problem or a plan.
Well, at the start of that race, we all did a big, sharp inhale of breath, didn't we? As we saw the Abt Cupra car crawl off the line. I caught you all the way to the command centre and you said, oh no, everything's fine. Just explain the game plan, Clara.
Yeah, no, just some sneaky little tactic game, It's we knew that we had a 30-second penalty for taking the championship car, so full focus on the traction challenge, get away from the dust and the drama. So yeah, we followed the plan. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to the whole team. The mechanics stayed up so long to get us to race today, so beyond grateful for that. And now it's time to get the last tweaks, and then we go out pushing.
It's super impressive, isn't it? And very sneaky from you as well. We love it. Best of luck for the rest of the day. Thanks, Clara.
Thank you.
Great tactics. So basically attack the Continental Traction Challenge, roll out of it, get yourself plenty of space, the track in the best possible conditions, Nicky. Unfortunately, we didn't see it on screen and we couldn't see the splits, so we'll be able to bring you one and see how Clara did. But anyway, here's a little bit more info about Clara Anderson from Abt Cupra.
I'm Clara Anderson and I'm the XMV driver for Abt Cupra XC. The first time I was in a race car-ish was a little go-kart when I was 7. That's my first memory of racing. My parents have been racing in rallycross when they were younger, so they wanted to introduce me and my older sister to the sport. We got a little go-kart, and what I can remember is that I just loved the feeling of speed. That's when the story began. When I grew up in motorsport, it was my family that was my safety system, my support. Me and my dad, we built our cars and everything that I raced in, and we were a family team. My older sister is 3 years older, and she, I've always looked up to her. She was always in the class higher in school, in the higher platform of racing, so I wanted to be like her. She's my best friend, and we support each other so much. I don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for her and my family. The first memory of winning a championship was when I was 10. Back in go-karts, I won the South and West Swedish Championships. Then I think the most important win was the Swedish Championship that I won in 2021. That was a career-changing moment for me. Not only that I got to drive the Spa-Francorchamps round in RX3 in International Rallycross, but also got invited to the rookie test by Akiola Science and got introduced to Extreme E for the first time. Then the biggest win of my career ever is Uruguay, where I crossed the finish line. It's just, I will remember that day forever.
Amazing job, Clara.
Signing for Abt Cupra for season 3 the whole season was just amazing. It's something that I've always dreamed about doing, being a professional driver, and especially with that team. They're just an amazing team, like so professional. I feel at home, so lovely people. Having Nasser as my teammate is just unreal. Like, he is a legend in this sport, especially in off-roading. And the first time I met him in Chile, I was a bit shy, but he is so lovely. He's such an amazing person, and he made me feel so comfortable and was hyping me up. And I think we also on track complement each other quite well with our experience. One thing that I really love about Extreme E is that it gives the platform for female drivers in motorsport. It's one of the few sports where men and women can compete on equal terms, which I think is great because you're always facing the best driver, no matter if it's a woman or man, young or old, you know. So hopefully it opens more doors for women in motorsport. Obviously, I'm only 23 years old, so already have achieved those things. It's super amazing. I still feel young and experienced sometimes, but I'm still super excited to continue the momentum, and I want to do big things. And this is only the beginning, but it's a lovely beginning, that's for sure.
Well, our second race of qualifying 1 is fast approaching. I'm joined by Emma Gilmore of Neom McLaren. We've just seen the car. It is in one piece after extensive bodywork damage yesterday. And I was speaking to your mechanics. They bring 3 of everything. What an effort to get it looking shipshape again.
Oh, amazing effort by the team. Like, they just worked tirelessly yesterday. So hoping to give them an easier day today.
We'll see. Will you adapt to anything from yesterday into today? I know the setup changes have been made to make the car perhaps in a better window for this course.
Yeah, I think we're both, Tanner and I, are happy with how the car is set up. But as we know with Extreme E, anything can happen. So we'll just, adapt and go as quickly as we can.
Redemption race win yesterday. I know you'll want more today.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one to win. In the crazy race in the last season's format, it would mean you'd get into the final where you had a chance of the overall win. So it was a strange thing to win, but it was still nice to win the best of the rest.
Best of the rest. How will you get into that final today?
Be quicker.
Is it that simple?
And yeah, getting a good start and getting it out of that dust. It's really still here this morning, so there's not going to be a lot of wind blowing the dust away. So yeah, that start's going to be crucial.
The start will be. Well, best of luck to you, Emma. Thank you very much. And to Tanner as well. Well, let's head into Acciona Science. They were P2 yesterday, 3rd over the line. But of course, they got the penalty for RXR and they were up to P2. Hydrogen, that is one of our focuses here in Saudi Arabia. The hydrogen fuel cell system provided by Inoa is just through the garages out that way. That is providing all of the renewable clean energy for this by Enel. This is the I can't even say it, electrification partner. I think I need a bit of charge for the entire site, for the whole of Extreme E. And the hydrogen is coming into this and powering these cars and all of us here as well. And I'm going to grab Lyra if I can for a bit of a briefing there. Congratulations on yesterday. Well done. P2. I sense some frustration at the podium that you want more.
No, I think it was a great start of the season, but of course I think we have to try. Today is a new race. We start from zero, so it will be really tough because already to go to the final it's hard. But of course we know that we have good pace and we can try to win.
Car doing okay? We've been up and down the paddock and there's been plenty of repair work going on.
Yeah, the car is ready, we are ready and can't wait to start again.
We've seen a lot of rolls this weekend. What is it about the course out there that is causing that? And I know you were dangerously close to the sea at one point as well.
Yeah, it was scary, the water was a bit higher and I couldn't see very well, so I was lucky to get out of the water. And the track is quite narrow, a lot of ruts, so it's quite hard to overtake, and in this track the start is really important. So we will try to have good starts.
We have all eyes on that start. It's so nerve-wracking even watching. I can't imagine what it's like being in the car, but thank you, Laia. We'll see what happens today. Good luck. Best of luck to you, Mateus, and indeed Carlos Sainz just behind as well, the advisor for the team, still recovering from that back injury he suffered. Well, here we go then. The second race of qualifying 1 is coming up right now.
Attention all teams, this is race control. Stand by for the start of the Desert X Prix. Qualifying round 1, heat 2 is about to begin. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Right, they are preparing to race in Neom. We're preparing to race here in London.
Feeling energised?
Yes, we are. We're team. It's early here. Coffee. We're on it. We're on it, but we're getting ready. Looking forward to another great encounter. I think people are going to be being a bit careful in the switch zone in terms of the speed limit. There's Amanda Sorensen. She took a win yesterday in Q1 with RJ Anderson. Brilliant defence from Ekstrom and Sands, who are in the same race again. Ekstrom was all over the back of him. RJ said he raced him clean. There's the moon. How about a race on the moon?
I mean, like, many things could be done on the moon. Yeah, let's just go. First of all,
there must be some sort of issue up there that we can highlight. A space debris. But anyway, here we go.
Let's take a look at how the grid is lining up. So over on the left-hand side, which we're calling P1, even though it's labelled as P5, is Tanner Fowles for McLaren XE. They won their redemption race yesterday with a P1. Chip Ganassi Racing there, looking for a bit of a redemption. They had a DNF, still 10 points though, because they got through to the grand final. RJ Anderson will be driving for them. Next up, it's Matthias Ekstrom. What a pedigree. Fantastic driver for him.
I think he's jumped the start.
I spoke to you soon.
Okay, they're going to have to red flag that, because I've got absolutely no idea what's happened there. Surely, Ekstrom's looking in his mirrors. That's got to be a restart. Yeah, it is. I thought so. That you can't. It's so. Sorry, Nikki. You were doing such a lovely job with the grid, and Ekstrom messed it up for you by leaving early. I mean,
Ekstrom, do you not? Well, just as I said, fantastic pedigree. He went and messed it all up for us. Never mind.
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on the screen.
There's Tanner Faust going back to the start. Not what we thought we'd be seeing this morning. Johan Kristoffersen for RXR Racing.
Yeah. It's an issue with the start lights, they reckon. So we're hearing a message from race control, issue with the start lights.
We won't blame Ekstrom then.
Okay, well, we've got time for a little chat, haven't we?
Fine. Well, obviously, the RXR, the Rosberg X Racing team yesterday, they had that penalty at the end of the race. They were due to finish in P1, dropped to P3. So they still take home 15 points, which is very respectable. But I'm sure it's left them feeling a little bit bittersweet coming into today's race. And that perhaps they deserve a bit more.
They were so fast. I think everybody wants the win, don't they? And unfortunately, you can't always have it. But reset onto the grid. RJ Anderson was on the radio on the way back in. Didn't look like there was anything wrong, but he had a good long chat on the radio on the way in. Carlos Sainz there talking to Laia Sands. Of course, Carlos out of the car with a back injury. Somebody else who is out injured at the minute, Jenny Gao. So normally here is co-coms with me. Nikki, very much welcome here. Thank you so much for all your hard work. If you'd like to see Nikki's prep, you can go take a look at my Instagram story. We're very Blue Peter in the commentary box.
Please don't look at it. That was before I had my coffee this morning.
But honestly, mate, well done and welcome to the series. And obviously, Jenny, we're sending you love and best wishes.
We're missing you, Jenny. Missing you. Please come and see us. But yeah, I will just keeping the seat warm until you're back.
Nikki was, she was totally up for it until she was told she needed to be here at 5 a.m. and then has regretted it. But now we've had a bit of coffee. We're good.
No, not be here at 5 a.m. On air at 5 a.m. Let's be here at 4 a.m. That was an alarm starting with a 3, which I have never done in my life.
Yeah, I'm not keen.
I was so tired I forgot it was my son's birthday yesterday, but
I thought that was an off-air conversation.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, Tanner Fowles back. Tanner Fowles back onto the grid. Okay, here we go. Let's get back into race mode. But yeah, Jenny, sending you best wishes and for a speedy recovery. hoping to see you soon. Johan Kristoffersson, full chill.
Look at that, deep in thought. Or is he just feeling happy?
We saw him last year. He was asleep in the car about 5 minutes before the start. But he's
you
very
always
good
think
at that.
You always think they're asleep, but actually they're just closing their eyes and they're just taking themselves through the track, corner by corner. Apart from a couple of drivers, we've got Robin Fryns in Formulary, and he will have a nap.
Yeah, but that's
really
Johan. He's somehow. But I find it fascinating the way they manage their energy. It's like, look, I don't need it now. I'm not going to expend any on this. I'm going to chill. And then the second the lights come on, they're going to race mode. I said earlier, Timmy Hansen, you see him, and he will literally sit in the car. He punches his thighs, shouts something in Swedish. I must ask him what it is in case we need to not broadcast it. I doubt it with Timmy. He's so lovely. But and to get the adrenaline up, some drivers you'll see doing the exercises with balls and things, catching out the back of the paddock to get themselves in the zone. So they've all got a different way of prepping, but a restart can make things a bit tricky.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at that grid one more time this morning. So it is Tanner Faust on the left-hand side, RJ Anderson in the P4 position, second one across. Matthias Ekstrom there in the middle car, the red car there. Johan Kristoffersson for RXR, looking for a bit of a redemption after dropping from P1 to P3 yesterday. And finally, over on the right-hand side, we have JB XE Racing, Heikki Kovalainen, a rookie in the season, trying to use his motorsport experience from other disciplines and put it into practice here off-road.
Here we go then, restart for Q1 Race 2, round 2 of Extreme E from Neom in Saudi Arabia. A bit of wheel spin for RJ Anderson on slot number 2 from the left-hand side of the grid on the inside line. Tanner Faust looks to have got a great start. He gets to turn 1 first, looking in the background. Ekstrom's gone for that line, cutting back, but RJ Anderson nailed it onto the apex. Loads of people using the Anoa Hyperdrive, including Kristoffersson, who sneaks up the inside line, trying to come around the outside is RJ Anderson. Faust in P2, Anderson's front end gets kicked up high. They're right out towards the end. The nose of the RXR machine goes down to the descent. Anderson may get through past Faust here into the right-hander. Faust into the side of RJ Anderson in the Hummer EV. Johan Kristoffersson leads. I think Tanner Faust has been dumped down to P3. Ekstrom's got P4. Ekstrom's got through as well. So Faust has got the whole shot. Now splits off to the left-hand side, trying to find a way back through. He got to turn 1 first, but lots of people using the Anoa Hyperdrive after turn 1, and that's the first time we've seen that highlighted. Sometimes we miss that on the data, but that's the where say we saw it was. Kovalainen has saved it. How close is he to the back of the pack? Wait for the exit here. Is Kovalainen going to go on lap 1? Because there's a bunch of cars in front. Bad exit for Anderson. Kovalainen's waiting. Anderson looking for a way through. And they're all in a line now, so RXR lead.
Yeah, Tanner Faust lost out there. He's dropped down from P2 down to P4, coming together with RJ Anderson a little bit earlier. Lost a little bit of track time. And is right now down, actually, he's dropped even further down to P5. So hopefully there's not an issue. Oh no, he is still in P4. Anyway, I will ignore the timings and just say what I see. So that's good. But bunching up, really bunching up at the moment. The track is dusty, dirty, although the visibility is still remaining pretty clear.
You're on board the number 99 there, and it's RJ Anderson with Ekstrom behind him again. Remember their encounter yesterday. Ekstrom tried everything to find a way through and couldn't get past. This time though, Ekstrom has Tanner Faust behind him, and Tanner will be trying to find a way through as well. Great start by RXR again. Kristoffersson is a bit of a master of the tactics, but I was really interested to see so many teams use that Anoa Hyperdrive straight off the start. Up and over a few of these crests on the run back down towards the finish line. Different angle to yesterday, like that. Through a few more of these deep sandy ruts. They're starting to fill in again. Yesterday it was nice and smooth this morning. I say they've had a little regrade overnight. Okay, now, so this is the other section on the track in the background. Look at Kovalainen for JBXE. Can he make use of the extra power he can? Kovalainen's alongside Tanner Faust. Is he going to get through or not? Where's Faust and Kovalainen? There's a pass going on in the background. He's done it. Kovalainen's got through. So Kovalainen passes Tanner Faust using the Anoa Hyperdrive later in the lap.
Well, fantastic result for him and the JBXE team after yesterday's DNF. They'll be looking for a bit of redemption today.
Christopherson can't get away, can he? Bad bounces for a couple of them through that section. This is where the ruts yesterday were so deep, particularly we've got a left coming up and then the right onto the beach. And that was where the ruts were really deep. Anderson takes the alternate line, looks inside the RXR machine. Nobody's made that alternate line work, but he was super close to Christopherson this time round. Needs to get a good exit onto the straight. I think Christopherson will have that sorted. This is where the ruts are building up, look. And they really are getting deep already. Onto the straight. Ekstrom's right there with Anderson, but nobody's got a hyperdrive left, so Christopherson should hold on here easily.
With the Red Sea alongside you. Noel going for a dip this morning, which we saw yesterday, of course.
We did indeed. I was just about the running along the coast like that is mad, isn't it? I mean, there's some beautiful racetracks in the world, but this is
can't get much better.
No, it's got a rate right up there, hasn't it? Ekstrom is still there, looks super close to Anderson. You're almost better that close because the rooster's hitting the front of the car rather than coming up over the screen. So he's absolutely nailed onto the rear of that car. Anderson gets sideways on the brakes through that bumpy section. You're on board now with Matthias Ekstrom in the number 55. Axiona Science looks inside, hooks a wheel up on the smooth section there, trying to find a better exit. You can see how closely matched they are. Anderson with just a little bit of left foot braking to turn that car in and rotate it over the crest. Brake lights just flash on. Ekstrom committed again. Cannot get through though.
Yeah, that's what I love about this Extreme, you know, how much wrestling has to go on between driver and machine, and then the landscape that lies underneath the car, continually changing and different lines every time. Each lap is always different to the last one.
He's hit him twice there, once in the previous corner and then once on the braking zone for the switch. The reason he wants to be that close in the switch is obviously if the team execute, they've all got 45 seconds, so in theory you should come out in the same order. But one tiny little mistake, or even the release, Nicky, so when they go, that's got to be bang on 45. You can't put it in drive until that moment. You think about it, you put the car in drive, you accelerate away with a bit of wheel spin, you got the limiter on to 30. It's actually pretty easy to make a mistake. Look how close the Axiona Science is to the back of the Chip Ganassi Racing Hummer EV. If they get the release right, you can make a pass in the switch zone.
Okay, so let's watch this extremely closely and see if they do come out in the same order or not. Yeah, I mean, 45 seconds, it seems like a fairly decent chunk of time. However, there's a lot going on.
You can hear Johan there giving a stream of information to Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski in Swedish. Unfortunately, my Swedish is absolutely terrible. Very happy with that start. It was great. I don't know if he said something about the hyperdrive, but it's Arlen Kotlinski now is in that tricky situation Katie Munnings was in, which is how do you defend from behind? But they've got a 3.2 second gap. To be honest, Nicky, she can wait for someone to call on the radio. Here goes the Axiona Science machine. Are they going to get out in front of the Hummer EV? They're side by side. So the switch is better. The McLaren, I think they came in last, so they'll be coming out last. Look, side by side. Okay, over to the right-hand side. So Laya Sands has had to go through the bushes to try and get through. They're still side by side. They can't release until they get to that exit gate. On the pit lane speed limiter, look at this, it's the slowest pass ever. She does drop in behind. They nearly got it done, and that's why Ekstrom wanted to be nailed onto the back of the Hummer. Half a second more and they'd have come out in front. Then you haven't got to do it on track.
Brilliant. Best efforts there from Laya Sainz. I love watching her drive. I think she's such a determined driver. I mean, so much skill, considering she moved across from bikes just 2 years ago. Really with very little experience on four wheels, and has come into this championship and absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, she has. She's absolutely flying. Looking at the times from yesterday, she was a 108.221 in the Continental Traction Challenge, which was the fastest female.
There you are.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So, and last year, you know, her lap times were absolutely epic. To be fair to her as well, Nicky, it wasn't immediate. You know, she came from bikes. The dynamics of her bike, obviously 2 wheels. Dakar legend. I think she had the best finish for a female on the Dakar ever on a bike. which is insane in itself.
Yeah, and 13 Dakar finishes in a row.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a near impossibility.
Well, one finish is news, isn't it, for most people? To get that level is incredible. But she did the Dakar again in a car this year, did well in her class, but she's adapted to four wheels remarkably well and remarkably quickly. And I'm sure some of that will be down to Carlos Sainz. Yeah, they'll have worked together. It's really important how the two drivers work together. Christopherson has clearly had a good relationship with both Molly Taylor and Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski. It's the way you look at the data, but it's also how you present that to your teammate. You know what it's like. You know, you've got to cooperate and go, right, this is where you're strong, this is where I'm strong. You take the best of both of those to make the best lap you can, and try to maximise your potential. And when the teammates work well together, that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And always communication between teammates, between your engineer, between your team principal. That's critical to make sure you've got the right conversations going on. Will really help them eke out the extra 10th here and there on every lap.
Right, in a minute we're going to be able to take a look at the Continental Traction Challenge standings. There they are. It's Abt Cupra who are at the top, so that tactic was absolutely masterful. Clara Anderson let them all go when the track conditions were perfect, then went blasted out of Mega Run. 1.87 seconds is the gap at the top, and Nikki, with the track conditions having deteriorated like they have, that might be enough to nick 2 points, but also to give them the shout in terms of if they get an equal finish. That's brilliant tactics by the team. Great stuff. Very, very impressed with that. So RXR lead this at the minute from GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing. You can see Acciona Sainz. Laia Sands is right up behind Amanda Sorensen. Can Sands make a move? Stick. Arlen-Kotlinski at the minute. Nobody has used their Inoa Hyperdrive, so they can all have a crack, remember, at that sector now. Sector 2, a 107.054. That's for Christopherson. That is the traction challenge. So actually that's 1.4 slower than Ekstrom went yesterday. But of course, at the minute, the male drivers all went first, Nikki, meaning they've all used their hyperdrive off the start. So the standings may well change in the next one, because if you're not doing the start, you can afford to use it a little bit later.
So there we have it. Car 58 under investigation. That is Emma Gilmore in the Neom McLaren. So that would have been happening during the switch zone.
Yeah, her or Tanner, it could be, couldn't it, on the way in or on the way out?
That is true. Apologies, Emma.
Sure. Yeah, we never quite
share that responsibility with Tanner.
Yeah, well, you can see Kevin, can you, Molly? Here we go. Now we know what hyperdrive comes on. Amanda Sorensen puts hers on. Laia Sands is saving it. Emma Gilmore has switched hers on as well. And now finally, Hedda Hossus at the back of the pack there. There's some 13 seconds. What are they? No, they're only three or 4 seconds behind Gilmore. So the lead for RXR 3.2. Amanda Sorensen's quick. She really is. Bear in mind, she's had no time in this car at all. Sorensen, I'm trying to think if there's any Sands Gilmore. No, they've all had more time in this heat, particularly, obviously, Arlen-Kotlinski. We're hearing penalty for McLaren, 2.4 second penalty for McLaren. Right, so JBXC need to get a wiggle on, because at the minute they are only, I'm going to get my intervals up on timing, they're only 3.7 behind. So JBXC needs to get on the radio and tell Hossus to catch up to the back of the Neom McLaren. If she can just be 1 second closer when the penalties play out, they'll nick P4 off them.
Brilliant, brilliant. And at the moment, you know, every point is critical in qualifying, right?
Absolutely, we saw that yesterday. The last thing you want is a DNF and a 0 points. Nobody's got that in Q1. I think that's going to mean that Q2 is going to be a little bit more wide open. Only Laia Sands has her Inoa Hyperdrive left, and she's closest. She's using it on this infield section. So Laia Sands looking for a pass here on Amanda Sorensen, coming up towards the jump. Oh, crashes the nose of the car down. Can't quite take it. So it's RXR who take the win. Arlen-Kotlinski and Johan Christopherson. And how close is that gap? 0.2. Hos has got it done on the last lap, so she's 0.2, or unless they've already added, they may have added the penalty into the times as they've crossed the line, in which case they'll have just missed it by 0.3 of a second. But RXR take the win from GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing and Acciona Sainz. It was close, look, Nikki. 1.6 seconds across the top three.
That's unbelievable. And I think we're going to see those times get closer and closer over the course of the day. You know, again, some of the girls in this session, they didn't even get to race yesterday because we had so many DNFs. I think we had 5 DNFs out of 10 cars yesterday. So track, you know, just track time, getting more practice in, is going to be absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And I do think we will see the times getting closer as the drivers get more competitive and have more experience here.
Sorensen, less than a second behind Arlen Kotlinski. She only sat in the car for the first time, I believe, this week. So great job by her.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the results from that session. JBXE in P5, McLaren, Neom, Faust and Gilmore in P4. Acciona Sights managed to cling on to a 3rd position, but it was the Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing just a second off the pace for P2, and RXR looking for that redemption from yesterday. Christopherson and Arlen Kotelinski taking the P1 in that qualifying heat.
Right, we're going to have a chat with Johan Kristoffersson. Him and his teammate Michaela Arlen Kotlinski have just taken the win in their heat race. Johan's in the Vodafone Command Centre for us. Johan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, good morning. That's the way
Yes,
to wake up and start the day, isn't it? That's more like it. Interesting to see everybody using the hyperdrive on the exit of turn 1. Is that different to yesterday or similar tactics?
No, I think a few cars tried to use it exit of waypoint 1 instead of to use it in going into the first corner. I think it's quite up the hill after waypoint 1, so I think that's why everyone is trying to maximize the speed up there. But this heat I really didn't have a plan until I just turned into the first corner and was quite tight between Heikki and Matthias there going in there. But then I thought that Matthias going to try the inside, so I thought that line's going to be booked, so I had to find another table to eat at, and then I was on the outside, so that was good. But then unfortunately I did a massive mistake on the first lap, so I completely messed up everything within the cockpit with the switches, so I had no pace whatsoever the first lap, and then finally I understood what the problem was, and second lap I would manage to open a little bit of a gap, and I think that was healthy, because I think both me and Michaela doesn't really feel 100% comfortable with these big ruts and stuff and how to use them and use them as a friend. But we will work on it, and now Q2 will be a little bit more, not easy going, but we don't have the knife on the throat. So now we can learn a little bit in Q2, and hopefully without problems we get to the final again.
Johan, thanks ever so much, mate. For all the quotes there, brilliant answer. So thank you, mate, and good luck to the pair. You need to go and cool off.
Yeah. Last week I drove between 1.2 meter snowbanks in Rally, and here it's a bit warmer, so I need to take off the suit now.
All right, mate. Take care. So off goes a very hot Johan Kristoffersson. You saw there the JBXE machine coming in with a puncture, which we didn't spot during that encounter. So Hozos, maybe without that, might have got close enough to take P4. So here was the start. Heard what Johan said. I loved it. He said, "What was it? Look at the contact on the right hand side of the grid." I didn't spot that when Faust was getting the whole shot. So he's out here. He said they used it on the exit because this is uphill, and that's the difference. Yesterday they were using it on the run into turn 1. This time they were using it on the run out. Then he said about the line. He said that one was already booked. I had to find another table to eat at. Then we went over the knife at the throat. I mean, he was a quote machine there, Nikki.
Very impressive indeed.
That's great.
I really want to ask him though, what are you thinking about at the start of the race? But we didn't have to.
No,
I'll say that for another day.
Well, you were asleep, yeah. But I mean, it does look hot as well. It's early in the morning, bear in mind there in Saudi Arabia. Not super early, I guess. What is it, 9-ish, 9:30ish, I think, in Saudi. So yeah, obviously hot work for them. Interesting as well. He said they'd made a mistake. He obviously hit something on the wheel, didn't he? That he shouldn't have hit on that one. There's something that shouldn't have been hit. And that's the back of the Hummer EV by Matthias Ekstrom on the way. Look how close this was.
Not the first time either.
No.
Yeah, and also I thought it was interesting how he was sort of saying, he's really not feeling as comfortable in the ruts and how to manage them. Kind of holding up his hand saying, we really needed more practice and more experience getting to know the track and getting to understand how to handle the ruts.
Yeah, I was messaging Johan just at the start of the weekend. he was saying, look, compared to the likes of Sainz and Ekstrom, the thing is, if you do a stage of the Dakar Rally, and I mean one stage that includes sand, you'd have 200 kilometres, maybe 300 kilometres of sand experience immediately. All Johann's sand experience comes from Extreme E. So yes, he's been to Saudi Arabia twice, but bear in mind the first year was up in the big deep dunes. There was some dust and some gravel included the second year. Now we're here against soft sand. He did have a bit in Senegal as well, but he could do it doing the Dakar, couldn't he really? He boshed the Dakar out and he'll have a couple of thousand kilometres of sand experience straight away.
Yeah.
So Alatia, so much experience on it, extra likewise.
Yeah, and the terrain is just so different, so much undulation in the other tracks that you've mentioned there, whereas this is actually relatively flat.
Yes, yeah.
In the scale of things.
Look on board with Laya Sands, look, gritted teeth, trying to hang on to that car. Now, we've had wins for X44 and RXR, so that means they'll both have 10 qualifying points, which puts them into their positions. But what we need to know then is who is ahead on the Continental Traction Challenge. Now, that's a combination of both drivers' times in the car. So at the minute, Kristoffersson has the fastest sector in Sector 2, but we don't know what Arlen Kotlinski did in that sector. So we'll be able to have a look at that and see how that puts them in the order. So we'll see who is leading qualifying after this first run. So that's Q1 done and dusted. A couple of clean races, no DNFs. Should be a decent qualifier in Q2 as well. Okay, take a look at the Traction Challenge standings. Abt Cupra lead, but RXR, that's the key, are in P2, because RXR and X44 won one race each. That means 10 points each for qualifying. Because RXR are ahead of X44, that's the tiebreaker. So at the minute, Rosberg X Racing lead the qualifying standings. It is Abt Cupra who are fastest with that Traction Challenge. So they're up for 2 championship points if they hold on to it all day.
Yeah, there we go. We can see the results. So it's 10 points for Macaulay Gutierrez from the qualifying one, Heat 1, but also 10 points for Kristoffersson and Arlen Kotlinski. So overall, we've got Hansen and Munnings there.
Yeah, that's how they're going to line up for Q2. So if you're in P1, 3 or 5, you stay in the same heat. If you're in P2 or P4, you swap to the other heat. So really looking forward to Q2. Now, of course, once qualifying's done, we get towards the finals. If you make the grand final, the grid positions are decided by grid play. If you don't know what that is, take a look.
In the build-up to the final in each Extreme E X Prix, fans can show their support and vote for their favourite teams and drivers through grid play. The voting takes place via the Extreme E website. The team that collects the most votes gets first pick on their grid position in the grand final, and will have the opportunity to massively influence the start of the race. But there is a twist. The teams that do not reach the grand final can donate their votes to any other team. With a strong start being key to a good X Prix result in Extreme E, grid play could make or break a team's chances of success. Which team will emerge as firm van favourites?
So that was a look at how grid play works. Now, one of the rookies for this year is, of course, Amanda Sorensen for Chip Ganassi Racing. Let's hear how she's getting on with Laura.
The team have been singing her praises, and I'm joined now by Amanda. They're talking about your professionalism. How much are you enjoying getting out there? Because you're absolutely flying.
It's fun. Honestly, it's like there's a lot of adrenaline, but like I said, there's like so much to learn in such little time, which is what I honestly am starting to love about Extreme E, because it's very logical and it's all about techniques and strategies, right? Because if you don't make it through P1, then you're not going to get it to the next heat. So it's fun.
Well done so far. Best of luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Really impressive, I think, with such little seat time to be doing the job that she's doing alongside RJ Anderson. They're right in the mix.
She's got the right approach, having lots of fun, lots to learn. That's what happens when you're young and keen.
I know, yeah, it's great, isn't it? So that's Q1 then done. We've got a whole other qualifying session later on today, which you'll be able to see with the finals as well, the grand final and the redemption race. Who's going to make the cut this time? Well, here we go then. Join us later on. Another pair of qualifying races. Who's going to take the win in round 2 from Neom in Saudi Arabia?
76 to Command Circle.
The World Baseball Classics is on your home of champions all season long. Catch all the action on SportsMax, SportsMax 2, SportsMax Plus, and the SportsMax app.
Football fans, how's your knowledge of the Jamaica Premier League? Put it to the test and win weekly giveaways when you play JPL Trivia Fridays. Questions are based on JPL matches played the previous week and can be answered via our social media pages using the hashtag JPLTF. Fridays just became more exciting with JPL Trivia Fridays.
Love and happiness. Me have the right thing for you. I've been really trying, baby. Trying to hold back this feeling.
Harry! Harry! What happened to you?
Black Stallion, the bedroom tonic. Get a box today at gas stations island-wide. Bring out the stallion in you.
Line and Length in association with CG United. Also brought to you by Fruits and Cool and Smooth in Antigua.
Welcome to Line and Length in association with CG United. I'm your host, Andrew Seeley. And this week, we're going to be talking to a noted journalist, Johnny Byrne, but we're not going to be talking about him. We're going to be talking about a very special man, Sir Vivian Richards, who celebrated his 71st birthday earlier this week. Johnny, Sir Viv made an incredible impact on county cricket in England between the years of 1974 and 1986 at Somerset, and then between 1990 and 1993 at the Morgan. Of course, you covered many games in which Sir Viv was involved. Tell us the kind of impact that Sir Viv made on English cricket during that period.
Yeah, Sir Viv Richards was just an incredible player, a dynamic player, and an absolutely brilliant player. You talk about that period of Somerset and segued into that 2 years into his time at Somerset, 1976. He had the most extraordinary summer playing for the West Indies over here. That was really when his career started to blossom as an international batsman. And of course, at the same time, alongside Joel Garner, he was tearing up the domestic scene here in the UK with that very famous Somerset side that was marshalled by Brian Close, the Yorkshireman. And of course, it included a very young Ian Botham. Peter Roebuck was in that side, of course. But Viv Richards was just the most incredible player. And he just lit up every ground, every occasion, everywhere, really. I mean, he's sort of, if you like, if you talk about the halcyon days of English county cricket, certainly from my memory, those days, the 70s and early 80s at Somerset, just epitomised what a wonderful game it was. You had every county had two incredible players, and of course Viv and Joel Garner at Somerset. You think of the likes of sort of Malcolm Marshall at Hampshire and others on the circuit. A truly incredible player, and his international career, if you like, went from strength to strength as he played at Somerset in the domestic game in the UK.
How important was it to have a player of the caliber of Sir Viv Richards at that stage when he was in the prime of his form playing county cricket? What did that do for county cricket at that time?
I think the beauty of it was very much a symbiotic relationship, in that often county cricket, if you like, for most international players on the circuit, was seen as a finishing school. And of course, the fact that the game is played across two hemispheres, the hemisphere where, as far from a UK point of view, of course, there's no real conflict in terms of other international cricket. Certainly back in the in the 70s and 80s, a little bit more 360 these days. But, I think counties really relied on the caliber of these overseas players. And international boards were very keen for overseas players to come over here and learn their game in county cricket. And that was the brilliance, of course, of these days before the white ball took over, if you like, and before T20 franchises. And basically international cricket was king. And the next real rung below that was the finishing school of county cricket. And we just had a plethora of incredible professionals over here. And Vivian Richards was one of those, an absolutely brilliant player, both in his spells for Somerset and, of course, latterly in the tail end of his career for Glamorgan. He had a huge impact on both clubs.
And unfortunately, the coming to the end of his time at Somerset was not a happy occasion. But what was interesting about it was that, as you mentioned, a young Ian Botham, who became a little older by then in 1986, Ian Botham had become so close to Sir Viv Richards, and in fact, I should say Lord Ian Botham and Sir Viv Richards. They have become such close friends that Lord Ian Botham, as he is now, decided that he was going to leave Somerset once they did not renew the contract of Sir Viv and Joel Garner.
Yes, it was an extraordinary occasion, actually. The loss of those two players when those contracts weren't renewed, they of course left and went to pastures new. And Ian Botham went to Worcester. He left Somerset behind him. That was his penultimate move of his career. Ian Botham went on to play to Durham latterly the last couple of his years, but very loyal. I mean, Viv and Sir Viv Richards and Ian Botham were housemates in the early stages of their time together in Somerset, and were thick as thieves. And I think they're both. What was incredible, I mean, I remember watching them on the circuit, and one of the hysterical things is they did actually try to outdo each other with the bat. They often have to be separated in the batting order just to avoid those kind of occasions. And there's some incredible testimonies of the way in which they went about the game, the two of them. But they were, absolutely incredible. But Viv Richards, what a thrill it was to have him in county cricket. A player of that caliber. Played a bit of league cricket, actually, up in, I think, for Rishton from memory, didn't he? Up in the Lancashire leagues when he left Somerset.
Yeah, between 87 and 89, I believe they played in the Lancashire League because he hadn't yet secured another contract.
Yeah, before he came back to Glamorgan, I remember seeing him, playing for Glamorgan. He must have been around about 40 then, but still helped them to win a title, and that was a huge factor, for the county having Viv Richards play for them. I think it might have been well have been actually the 40 over competition which Sir Viv won with Glamorgan. But yeah, just a wonderful player. Very lucky to work with him at the last World Cup, 50 over World Cup over here in the UK. He was one of the ambassadors, and he's revered the world over. The most incredible player who reinvented the game, if you like. The way in which he went about his innings, he would always start with a bit of a swagger, of course. His main thing was get on top of the bowlers early, and then he'd settle in, but average 50 in Test cricket. And he took 650 wickets in professional cricket as well, which would be an incredible career for a bowler, let alone a batsman.
So Johnny, if we attempt to analyze the impact of overseas international players to the English game, and then yet the English game making the decision to do away with international players at sometime in the 2000s, and now they're gradually bringing them back. But how do you analyze and look at the impact that overseas international stars actually made on England cricket?
Yeah, I think the 80s, when each county was allowed two players, I think was probably the best period in county cricket's history, and largely because the competition, you had, the best of the homegrown players on the one hand, marshaled against, the best internationals going. In those days when there were no other contracts and no other things to sort of distract you, if you like, that's when county cricket was absolutely at its zenith. and you would have all these incredible players in that period. And I think county cricket lost a little bit of its luster when it went down to one international per side. Then, of course, you had the waters slightly muddied with all the South Africans playing on a coal pack ticket over here. Of course, since Brexit, that's gone out the window, and you don't have that particular loophole. But I certainly think that when each county had two internationals and of the caliber of the likes of Saviv, I think that was when it was at its absolute zenith, and the interest in the game was at its absolute peak in that period.
If we talk a bit about the way Viv went about his batting, we talk a lot now about net run rates and the rates per 100 balls, etc. Things that were not relevant then. We talk about Baz Ball now, Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes scoring at 5 and 6 runs and over. The England team scoring at 5 and 6 runs and over in Test cricket. But Viv was a prolific scorer. Can you imagine Viv playing T20 cricket? Tell us what you think about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we certainly lost the opportunity of seeing somebody like Viv Richards in T20 cricket. Of course, his fastest 100 came off 56, 57 balls from memory.
That's
carted
right.
England, obviously against England, who were carted everywhere. I think that must have been in 1986, I would suspect, probably on one of our overseas tours. But yeah, I mean, Viv would have been tailor-made for T20, and I think would have prospered very, very handily. I mean, in those days, of course, you just had Test cricket was the primary form, and then from a red ball cricket point of view, we had 4/3 day games, and then 50 or 40 overs. That was it. There was no international franchise leagues. There was no IPL. There was no Caribbean Premier League. There was none of the other leagues that we've seen grow up. I mean, I think Viv Richards, just the way in which he went about his business, and actually the way in which that West Indies side, went about its business. In 1984, of course, in that first Test match here at Lord's, David Gower pulled out, setting the West Indies an improbable 330 in I think 72 overs, and they knocked him off in about 56 overs with Gordon Greenwich getting a double 100. I mean, they went about their game in a very, very positive fashion, and Viv was very much at the heart of that engine room.
Okay, Johnny, we're going to continue this great discussion on Sir Vivian Richards and also on more about English cricket at the moment when we come back on Line and Length in association with CG United.
Line and Length in association with CG United. Also brought to you by Fruits and Cool and Smooth in Antigua.
Whoa. Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John.
CG United. Good like that.
Taste the fantastic flavors of Fruits. Sweetened or unsweetened options. Choose from golden apple, tamarind, passion fruit, five-finger, soursop, sorrel, cherry, and much, much more. Fruits, juices, and punches featuring pumpkin, carrot, and beet. Look for us at your favorite supermarket, and we also supply cafes, hotels, bars, and restaurants, and now catering to family events, social clubs, and corporate functions. Fruits, fantastic and flavorful. Line and Length in association with CG United. Also brought to you by Fruits and Cool and Smooth in Antigua.
And we're on Line and Length in association with CG United. Johnny Barnes still in the house. I know, Johnny, you are in your house because the weather is not the greatest in the UK at the moment, is it?
No, the weather is a bit rough. It's funny, as soon as you get past Christmas over here in the UK, we just think spring is round the corner. It's not round the corner. It's about -3 at the moment. We've had snow the last few days, and it doesn't feel very crickety. And I think the first game over here starts in about 3.5 weeks. So there we go.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, it has happened before. Johnny, let's talk a bit about the Baz Ball and the concept of two English teams on tour at the same time. The Test team just finished up Test series, and the one-day side, one-day and T20 side, in, I believe, in Bangladesh at the moment. Bangladesh are having just won the first of the T20s. Is English cricket so good at the moment that they can afford this?
To be honest, Andrew, I think one of the big problems, and Rob Key mentioned this the other day, who's director of cricket over here in the UK, is that actually when it comes to English cricket, I don't really care about English cricket particularly. I don't particularly care about the county game, if I'm perfectly honest. The game I really, really care about is the game itself, the game of cricket, the international cricket. And to be honest, England being brilliant is fine, but if you've got nobody to play against, and if you haven't got sides against you that are playing their best players or are motivated to play Test cricket, then there's no point, if you like, being in the playground on your own. And that, I think, is one of the biggest problems here. This is the ultimate shuffle of the deck chairs on the